right, welcome to CRE Speed Round. Nick Huber. Cheers, brother. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good to see you. Taller in person, Nick Huber is.
I'm a terrible shot.
CRE Speed Round, fast conversations with fast movers in the business
fast.
industry. We're going to start with media.
Okay.
What is your favorite tweet, post? What's your favorite post you've ever written?
Yeah, my favorite tweet is one where my son dropped his ice cream and I took a picture of him when he was crying.
Yeah.
And I told the internet that I did not buy him a new ice cream, even though I did. I said, you know, my son worked all week, saved up $5 to buy this ice cream. He did his chores all week. We went to get the ice cream and he dropped it after the first lick. And I didn't buy him a new one because that's how life works. I got to teach him how to be tough. And 25 million people saw it, and I was getting death threats, and it just pissed off everybody. It was a beautiful thing.
I love it. What's your secret favorite post, even if it failed? Like, what comes to mind?
My favorite post that I've ran 3 times was posted today, and it's the first time it went viral, the 3rd time.
Really?
Yes, it's about my buddy who I went to college with. I changed a couple details about the story because I don't want to blow him up.
Okay.
But he, top of the class, went to law school, top of the class, got a clerkship at the best judge, went into litigation, got a job at the
that's right. I saw this.
The most prestigious firm in Washington, D.C., got a job there. 4 years in, he was making $900K a year, on track to become a partner in record time, about to have a baby, gets called to a court case in New York City. His boss says, he goes to his boss and says, hey, if I take this job, I'm going to miss the birth of my child. This is ridiculous. And the boss says, hey, man, you want to be a partner here or not? And so he left. He literally blew up in the guy's office, made a scene, and it was the best decision he made, obviously, because that's hell.
Yeah.
But it's just like, that is a lesson to me about what game do you want to win? You pick your game.
Right.
Pick your game you're going to play. Like, before you play a game, look at how the winners live.
Right. Yeah, this is in your book. So we're talking a lot about your book, by the way, in this interview. So I'm skipping ahead a little bit. But in your new book, Sweaty Startup.
The Sweaty Startup, yeah.
Coming out soon. I read it today on the plane. It's very good. You tell this story of, like, basically look at the person in the corner office who, if you're on that track, and if you like their life, great. If not, you might be on the wrong track.
Look down the hall. Look down the hall.
Yeah.
Like the successful doctor, the successful lawyer, look at them when they're 50, and the majority of them are alcoholics, depressed, overweight, divorced, and rich.
Right.
And rich is pretty nice, but not when you're those 4 other things.
Oh, it's miserable.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Twitter. How many followers do you have right now?
Almost 400,000, I think like 391,000.
Tons. So who's the favorite person or the most surprising person that's dropped into a comment or DM from you? Like, if you want to share.
Elon has thumbs up. Actually, I had a tweet about the concept of my book, which is,
Yes.
Venture capital is kind of bullshit. Don't try to start a world-changing company until you get rich. Like, get rich first, then start a world-changing company. And like 4 or 5 comments down, Elon says, true. And it's funny because Elon is the face of entrepreneurship. Elon, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg. And he actually kind of agrees that to change the world and to do massive things, you need to get your chops, get your capital, get your network.
Right.
Do those
well,
things
it's
first.
kind of what he's done, sort of. I mean, he had PayPal was a startup, but less risky possibly than colonizing Mars.
Yeah, and he took his, took his 20 million from PayPal and risked it all and won again and risked it all and won again.
And won again.
Not many people can do that.
Right. So read your book on the plane. Things I love. 30,000 a month. Can you talk just in a couple sentences? Give us this concept.
Yeah. So start at the end. What's the end goal for you? And most people, when they think about business and Shark Tank, Product Hunt, all this stuff will lead you to believe that it needs to be $1 billion company.
Right.
We're going to try to change the world. We're going to try to think of something that has not been done before, and we're going to try to do it. And if we win, if we're lucky enough to win, we'll be billionaires, we'll be famous, we'll go from dorm room to superhero. I like to think about it of, hey, what do I want my life to look like? And how much money do I need to live that life? And I realized 10 years ago, I need to put my family in safe cars. I need to send my kid to a decent school. I want to play golf a little bit. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to go to a restaurant and order what I want to order. And then you work back from there. How much money do you need coming in every single month to make that happen? What's your number? And it's really hard to think about that.
Right.
You can easily just say, oh, I need $20,000 a month, or oh, I need $50,000 a month, or oh, I need $100,000 a month. Put it on paper. Like, what do you need? Like, what are you going to spend your money on when you're living your ideal life? And for me, back 10 years ago, it was $20,000 a month. Today, with inflation, it's 30. But if I had $30,000 coming in every month and working 5 or 10 hours a week on things I like to do,
net, 30,000 net.
Yeah, 30,000 net.
You're good.
I can save 10 grand a month, spend the other 20, and live a damn good life.
Yes.
So entrepreneurship should be a tool to accomplish that first.
Right.
The first part of entrepreneurship, how can I make enough money to live the life I want to live, and then go from there. And it's amazing when momentum picks up and opportunities start flowing at you, what can happen.
Right. And so it's fair to say there's a myth. You're myth busting in this book. And what is the myth of entrepreneurship that you're busting?
Right now, we have a massive problem in that our smartest, most driven, most ambitious people are walking around college campuses, and they're walking around their life thinking about how they can change the world and how they must be different and how they must raise capital and how they must do something massive, change the world.
Right.
It's bullshit. All the richest people I know, the people who hang out at the nice country clubs, the people who fly around in their private jets, the people who vacation, in either, the Outer Banks if you're up east, or the 30A, or you name it, like the nicest places where people vacation. None of them started a tech startup.
Right.
None of them raised capital that I know.
How about you? It's boring businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all in boring businesses.
They either got really good at a high leverage job that sell once and you make money for a long time.
Right.
Real estate's one of those businesses. Wealth management, insurance, a lot of these businesses where you build your book and you get paid for a long time.
Right.
Or they start a small business.
I love it.
Boring business.
So the stakes are, people are missing this point. They're wasting their lives. They're trying things that they're wasting money and precious time, when it's like, dude, look at the opportunity of buying a quote unquote boring business.
Buy or start a boring business.
Yes.
Because look at odds. I think of myself as an entrepreneur. I think of myself as a poker player at the table, and my chips are time. My most valuable resource is time.
Yes.
And I'm pushing chips either towards a venture capital backed new idea, change everything about a business model, or I'm pushing chips towards something where I pick a game where most people win who play the game.
Yes.
And you're just picking your competition.
Yeah. And I love that. And there's an analogy. The analogy is, do you want to play basketball against LeBron or a fifth grade girl, essentially? And
my editor tried to get me to remove fifth grade girl because it's a little bit politically incorrect. But I said, hey, fifth grade girls are not as good at basketball as fifth grade boys. Go to third grade. I think the girls are actually a little better.
So you wouldn't pick LeBron, right?
Yeah, making money in entrepreneurship is not a Olympic gymnastics routine where degree of difficulty matters.
Right.
The degree of difficulty, nobody gives a shit about.
Yes.
You can do easy things well over and over and over again and get just as rich as somebody who solves a very hard problem. So you're picking your competition. Do you want to go compete against Stanford grads?
Yes.
Or do you want to compete against the guy in your town who uses a fax machine?
Right.
Who do you want to compete against? A guy who's at Stanford and a computer scientist major and has venture-backed funding and doesn't need to make a profit and is a genius. That's LeBron James. Or the guy in your town who plays golf, drinks a little too much, has a fax machine sitting on his table.
And doesn't have a website.
No website.
And doesn't do marketing.
These people are sneaky. I've kind of changed my mind on this a little bit, is that some of these folks are very good business people, very good operators.
Sure.
But, like, what game you want to play? You want to play against LeBron or you want to play against fifth grade girl?
I know a lot. I've worked with a lot of these people, and it is very clear. Many of them got to a point where it was working. And it was like, I don't need to add anymore. I don't want to add anymore.
Yep.
And therefore it opens up opportunity. And that's in the businesses like, well, actually, I'll ask you this. So start a boring business, don't think tech startup, think landscaping or something like that. Mm-hmm. Here we sit in 2025. What would you say is like the most fun, boring business opportunity? Like in our unique time, right? Like maybe you go back 3 years and it's HVAC. What strikes you now as like, that would be very interesting to pursue?
Generally speaking, in high cost of living areas, without a high Hispanic population as well, sweaty startups, cleaning, landscaping, mowing, that stuff can work phenomenally well.
Okay.
Put somebody in the Boston suburbs, home service businesses, the sweaty kind can thrive.
Yes.
You get in the southern United States, it gets a little bit harder because the competition is better at what they do. There's more people to do it. But yeah, I love cheap things that you can start at the back of a pickup truck, man.
Yeah.
That's how I did it.
Okay, so your book admits that entrepreneurship is chaotic. Is that how you would describe your life?
I ask people, do you like solving people problems? Do you like solving people problems?
That's a good quote. Yeah, that's good.
And they say, I was like, okay, if somebody wants a raise, do you want to have that conversation with them about giving them a raise? If somebody can't show up to work, they're having all kinds of problems, do you want to have that conversation? If somebody, if a vendor has a huge problem with something they sold you, do you want to have that conversation? If somebody has a massive problem, if a customer's pissed off because you ruined something at their house or with their life, do you want to have that conversation? And they're generally like, no. Okay, well, that's what entrepreneurship is. So those conversations all day.
Yeah.
You're firing people, you're hiring people, you're selling people that don't want to be sold, and you're having uncomfortable conversations all day. And the more uncomfortable you can get, the more successful you're going to be.
Yeah, and I think you articulated that really well. Like I was pretty challenged, and I was challenged after reading your book that I was thinking very small, like about my own career, what I wanted to do, things I could do.
That's an interesting takeaway because I feel like I get really granular. What part of the book made you think that you could think bigger? Because that's good. I want it to be.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely had that effect. I think the two things. One is what I'm getting ready to ask you about, which is the somewhere.com acquisition and the idea of momentum. And your story sort of goes from this it's been very successful, right? I mean, it's like moving company startup that sold into self-storage, one self-storage development essentially.
Yep.
I'm telling your story or whatever because I just read the book, and then a bunch of self-storage, small empire, then a bunch of other companies, insurance and sort of real estate companies on the periphery of that business. And then bam, somewhere.com is a $52 million company?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, I closed on acquiring that on May 1st of last year.
I'm actually surprised I remember that because I read it very quickly, but 52 stuck in my mind because that's a lot of millions. But yeah, so small thinking was kind of like, what I do is like commercial real estate brokerage and investment. And it just made me think that's one layer, right? I need to add layers to that. And one thing I'm very bad at is delegating. Nick goes into a ton of the, how you delegate with people. Level 1 task, I can delegate task, right?
You can get really rich delegating just tasks.
Yeah.
Where every decision comes to you as the business owner.
Exactly.
There's two levels of delegation. There's the tasks that need done, and then there's the decisions that need made to figure out what tasks to do and how to solve problems and all that stuff. I know a lot of guys and gals that make really, really good money as entrepreneurs, and they only delegate tasks. Every decision, their phone rings.
Yes. Yeah.
You can do really well, but businesses can start to grow beyond you when...
But you're not doing that. You've got people, you've delegated decisions as well.
I get on a lot of bulk storage calls because it's my main thing. I'm very focused on protecting my assets and growing that real estate portfolio. I was on a call about 4 weeks ago, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're ready to give an update on the collapse." And I'm just sitting back, and one of my guys is like, "Yeah, so here's the after pictures. We got the roof rebuilt, we got the entire 4 suites fixed, and we did it in record time, and it was only $83,000. We secured several bids, and the building is now back operational, and our tenants are happy again." And I'm like, "Guys, what happened? What the heck happened?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, Nick, Erie, Pennsylvania got record snowfall right after Thanksgiving,
and the roof collapsed,
and the roof of our retail collapsed." 4 tenants, the snow was inside, disaster. But we didn't tell you because we knew you'd be a big pain in the ass about this. Well, thanks.
Yeah.
Saved me the stress.
And now it's repaired and good.
Yeah, because we've empowered people over time, and obviously my partner was involved.
Right.
So that's not a perfect story, but yeah, they're good. They're good at what they do.
Love it. So momentum sort of leads to kind of this culmination of buying somewhere.com. So we're talking about with your book, sort of breaking myths about entrepreneurship. What are some of the myths of hiring people outside of the United States to?
Yeah.
Is that a?
Well, I guess
it's like a T-ball. That's
you served it up. I think when you think about hiring internationally, you think of somebody on a computer who can do the same task over and over again. Whereas I have people running companies of mine from South Africa and the Philippines and Colombia and Brazil. So somewhere.com does that. I was a customer early on, then I was an investor. I was a minority owner. And right when I was not quite ready to take a big swing, the opportunity presented itself to buy the company. And I decided...
That story's in the book, by the way.
I decided to do it. Even though I wasn't ready, there was imposter syndrome. I had to raise $20 million. I didn't know how to structure it. I'd never bought a company before.
Yeah, thanks for the call, by the way.
Yeah. And it's been great. It's been hard and stressful and humbling, but also the company's growing and doing well. So it's
good.
It's fun.
I love it.
What were your takeaways
from the book?
You said the thinking small thing, but I'd love to hear kind of.
Oh, those were my three. Write down your number.
Yep.
So back into your number that you need a month.
Choose your competition. And
thank you too small. Oh, and then there's this word, permission. And this is one thing I really loved how you did. Like, you specifically set the reader up to give themselves permission to be courageous in business, essentially.
Yeah, when I think of my career and even the careers of others who are successful, way more successful than me, they didn't come in the mold to do those things. You know, we have mutual friends that are phenomenally successful, and you think about where they were born and who they were born to and where they went to college and what they studied. They weren't qualified. And yes, I own a couple, pieces of real estate, and we've raised some money. I don't have an empire by any means, but I didn't study real estate in college. If I would have tried to go work for Sam Zell out of college, he would have told me no.
Right.
I didn't have permission.
Yeah.
I didn't go to Princeton. I wasn't at the right eating halls. I didn't have the money teed up to go raise from people in my neighborhood or at my dad's country club. I didn't have permission. And you're not going to get permission in entrepreneurship. Nobody's going to tell you that, oh yeah, Nick, you're perfectly qualified and ready to go build that self-storage facility or go start that company or go do that thing. You're not going to get it.
If you wait around, it'll never come.
So you have to have courage. You have to fight through that imposter syndrome, and you have to build on the momentum and just keep taking risks.
Yeah, and the other side of that too is you might have to leave. Like, some people get so comfortable in something, and that becomes their identity, and you have to leave that thing to be able to do it. Like, for example, like, I have a ton of brokers that follow this, that will watch this, and like, there are opportunities that come my way, and I look through the lens of, well, would this help commercial real estate or what I'm trying to do in this pipeline I'm trying to build and whatever? And it's like, dude, who cares? You're an entrepreneur first. Like, that's the big picture thing. That's more what I mean by thinking too small.
Yeah, have the
like
ear.
It got me out of my paradigm of like, it's okay to do like 5 or 6 things, and when they're connected, great. If you have insurance in a building, that's connected, but
have your ear to the ground. Look for opportunities.
Yeah.
And get out of your comfort zone.
And the book teaches you that. Yeah. I love that. Tell us something absurd about your work life. Like, what's something that would surprise people?
What's the most fun thing is I turned from a night person to a morning person over the last 2 years because I started hiring people in South Africa. And South Africa is 6 hours ahead.
Good.
South Africa is 6 hours ahead.
I'm really glad I asked this question.
So at 5 o'clock, it's amazing because I can shut down because it's 11 o'clock in South Africa.
Yeah.
And they're signing off. Some of them don't because they're crazy. But I wake up at 5 a.m. and there are 15 unread Slack messages. There's 6 emails, and my guys are just kicking ass.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's made me very excited to wake up, have coffee, and before my kids wake up, I'm working out and watching.
I love it.
My South Africans.
Young people today breaking into, so let's drill down a little bit. Young people today breaking into commercial real estate. There's a ton in your book about how to be like a person that's recruitable, that people would want to recruit. What would you tell young people today breaking into the commercial real estate industry?
I think if you can sell.
What was that?
It was a little bug.
Oh.
If you can sell.
Thank you.
If you can sell.
Yeah.
Sell yourself and your ideas and look people in the eye, and you're not afraid of rejection.
Yes.
You can win. And there's a whole section of my book on sales because I think sales is the #1 skill in the world. And it's perfect for real estate because there's nothing more applicable. You guys are selling 2 sides of every equation. You're selling the buyers, you're selling the sellers. You obviously need the sellers first, and then you got to go get the buyers. But if you can sell, if you can look people in the eye and you're not afraid of rejection and you're just going to keep taking shots over and over and over and over again, You're going to win in life, period.
Our mutual buddy Sean says, start cold calling before you get the job. Like show up saying, I've cold called a bunch and I'm already selling.
It's a habit. Like I had a super influential meeting with a mentor of mine in Ithaca, New York when I was in 2012, right after I had started my first company. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. He had sold a sweaty startup, a foundation repair business, and he got coffee with me. I said, I want to pick your brain, like everybody says. And he's like, okay, let's get coffee. We sit down, and he goes hard right away, and he says, Nick, you're an entrepreneur now. And he goes, I go, yeah. And he goes, so you're not getting a job after college? And I go, no. And he goes, man, that's amazing, because I have people in here all the time come in, and they're bullshitting me. They're not real entrepreneurs. And
Yes.
you're telling me you're not going to get a job? It's back. Bug's back.
Oh,
He says,
it's a huge bug.
you're in Georgia now. He comes in,
Wow.
he goes, do you like sales, Nick? And I'm taken back. I'm taken back. I'm like, I just started a company. I'm an entrepreneur. No, I don't like sales.
Yeah, I'm gonna hire sales.
Yeah, I'm gonna be the visionary. I'm gonna be the guy in front of the whiteboard. I'm gonna be the guy, making the decisions and making the key hires and going out and figuring out the strategy. I knew I needed to say yes, but I told him the truth. I was like, no, I don't like sales. I want to be the visionary. And he goes, if you don't like sales, you need to go get a job right now.
Yeah.
You made a bad decision. Put your resume back in. See if you can go get that job you turned down.
Yeah.
Get out of this business, because sales is everything. You're selling your employees on joining you.
That's right.
You're selling your vendors on selling to you because they don't trust you. You're selling your customers, obviously, on buying from you. And then you're selling everybody all day to get them to do what you need them and want them to do when you're delegating, hiring, and building a company.
It's all people, man.
It is. And nobody does anything they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So unless you can sell them on doing what you want them to do, you'll never win.
I love it. Okay, Nick Huber gets a billboard in Times Square. You get to run it for 2 weeks. You can put anything you want on it. What do you do? What do you put on it?
In Times Square, I'm telling everybody, get out.
Get out of Times
Get
Square.
out of New York City.
Touch some grass. That's one of your famous tweets.
Go have kids. Have more kids. Don't marry a doctor or lawyer. Don't go to New York City, and have more kids. Those are the 3 things I want to put on the billboard.
Okay, what about a billboard in a random place? Yeah.
I'd still kind of put those 3 things on it.
Yeah.
Don't marry a doctor or lawyer. Don't go to New York City, and have more kids.
I love it. Oh, that's really good. Okay, so let's talk. I want to finish this. Unless there's anything else you want to say about the book. Besides, I would say
read it.
100% buy it and read it. That's pretty ezy. I can highly recommend it. And I've pre-ordered, but you were kind to send me an advanced copy, which I read on my phone. But what I'd like to end with is something I'm really interested in, which is the media world. So, thinking through, you're basically on everything. Twitter.
Yeah, I don't, and it's interesting,
X,
in my book, I don't talk about anything about
You don't
media.
talk about anything media.
Yeah.
It's okay. Your book is I kind of thought of it as a bunch of posts combined
It is.
into a book, which is really what
It's
a
my
book.
philosophy on business and life. Is what it
Yeah,
is.
that's what a book is, regardless. But okay, so you post a lot on X. That's your main platform. What does Nick Huber do if this ever happens? Nick Huber says, "I've got writer's block. I need some inspiration. I need something." Does that ever happen? And
It happens.
What do you do?
So let me tell you about media. When things are kicking ass, when you're making money and you're winning, media comes easy.
Yeah,
When you're getting humbled by business and you're solving problems and things aren't going right and
Yeah.
you're frustrated, media gets hard.
I love this. I do.
And
I
when
love
media
this.
gets hard, you just recycle posts that you made when business was good.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
look, I'm one of the few that actually shares the struggles too.
Yeah, you do.
So I share.
That's fair.
I share and write through all. of it.
I try. I'm much smaller audience, literally a 1/30th. But I try to do the same thing. And people ask me about commercial real estate all the time, or people in commercial real estate ask me about social media all the time, and I try to harp on authenticity. I try to say, don't be funny or shocking if you're not funny or shocking.
I have a pretty actionable piece of advice for brokers.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody says build relationships. There's the common advice in your world: build relationships, do this, do that.
Yeah.
It's all about the long game. No, it's about discipline and making the damn cold calls every day, even though you don't want to, and just training yourself to do that work.
That's right.
If you train yourself to do that work and you put it up in the mirror, like, if I do this long enough, I will be rich. Because seriously, you will.
Oh, yeah.
Name a broker that has done what they needed to do for 10 years and is not doing really well for themselves.
Oh, 100%. Is
there any of them?
I can't think of
Can
any.
you lose in the business if you do the hard things consistently for 10 years?
No.
So if you're willing to outwork
can't.
everybody, which most people can't,
Yes.
you will do well. Now, obviously, if you're incompetent and you're not a good salesperson and all those things, it gets harder.
It's a business that I would like for it, because based on the way I'm built, I would like for it to reward the hero. It doesn't. It rewards the steady Eddie, consistent person that just does it. Yeah, numbers game. Exactly. I like that. I really like what you said about inspiration and writer's block and that kind of thing. Okay, last question. What didn't I ask you that you wanted to be asked?
I have this section that this is a business podcast, so you glanced over it, but one of my favorite sections in the book is talking about life and kids and some of the stuff that really matters. Like, yes, you have your $30K a month. Yes, you build your business. Then what? What are you doing?
Right.
I'm getting more and more passionate about how amazing it is to be a well-rounded person, to kick ass and work a lot, but also put your phone away at 5 o'clock and not turn it on again until 7 o'clock when the kids are in bed. So yeah, I think the world and the media rewards the 80-hour-a-week grind, and sometimes it's required. But entrepreneurship is sprints and then wait. You sprint and you wait.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out what you're going to do in those waiting periods, where you're letting your real estate grow, you're weathering the last 2 years that we've all weathered in the real estate business.
Yeah.
Where yes, you got to block and tackle, you got to work your hours, you got to make the calls, you got to keep doing what you're doing. But it's not going to be good. It's not going to be fun. There's going to be a lot of people leave the business. What else are you going to do? You're going to play golf. You're going to hang out with your friends. You're going to get fit. You're going to build a great relationship with your wife and some friends. Like, that stuff's really important too. A lot of people forget about that.
Well-rounded. Hey, first guest ever, CRE Speed Round, Nick Huber.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Cheers.